Live TV.
Good morning and welcome to the Vibrant Morning here in BTV Kenya. Now Vibrant Morning brings you what is in the People Daily newspaper, that is newspaper review of what is in the newspaper. Remember, you can subscribe to our channels, you can visit us on YouTube BTV Kenya, and remember to leave a comment so that we know where we are reaching you from. You can also reach us on Facebook page, that is Blackman TV Kenya. Please remember to leave a comment so that we know where we are reaching you from. Remember, your comments are very valid and they help us to improve the services that we give you. Now, Vibrant Morning this morning brings you lots of goodies of what's in the newspaper. You can also grab a copy of the People Daily newspaper so that we may go together. I'm just going to give you the brief, but you are going to take the opportunity to read more comprehensively. And remember, People Daily newspaper is a free newspaper. Just move to your close vendor, pick your copy and read more comprehensively. Now, today my co-host Lennox Odede is not in with me. He's traveled to go get us news from Migori County. Anytime he's back, we will welcome him and continue. I'm your host, Gagi Isaiah. Now, let us dive into what is in the People Daily newspaper. With speed, we look at the cover page of the People Daily newspaper. Now, the cover page today, the big story is inside state plan to sanitize SHA. That is on page 4. And you can see there Cabinet Health Secretary Deborah Baraza sharing a word with President William Ruto's economic advisor, that is Moses Kuria. The story is on page 4 of the People Daily newspaper. And looking into what we have there, we see a double tragedy as Ijendi King dies a day apart. That's also a story that will give you a brief of in the People Daily newspaper. And also on page 6, we see looming showdown as Treasury cuts county allocation. That is there. And also we see Raila MPs seize control of key House committees. That is also on page 2 of the People Daily newspaper. Please grab a copy of People Daily newspaper and let us get deep into what we are having in the newspaper. Now, getting into page 2, where we have the key story. Azimio takes charge of 5 key House panels, ICE and ICE more. Sorry for that. The story is by Mercy Mwai. Now, stalemate on remarking committees compounded by internal division wrecking Raila and Ruto's coalition. You can also read that opposition chief Raila Odinga's Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition has taken control of 5 key committees in the National Assembly. The alliance is now in charge of finance, health, transport committees, as well as those of energy, labor, regional integration, trade and industry, in a deal that saw it climb down from 10 houses panels it had wanted to grab. Now, that is what's happening in the House and in the Parliament. Now we see more than 5 key committees, parliamentary committees, has been seized by Azimio members of the Parliament. You can also grab a copy and read that story and more comprehensively. Now, what does that really mean? That means that in due time there's going to be a bit of wrangles between the ruling coalition and the opposition coalition. And I believe this stems out from the ruling that Azimio has the majority. You can also grab a copy and read this and more of the stories. And on the same page, we see protesters call on Ruto to protect Wetangula. Now that we move to Bungoma County, where hundreds of residents yesterday took to the street to demonstrate peacefully against lawmakers threatening to impeach the National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula. They are saying that the president should come and protect Moses Wetangula, who is the Speaker of the National Assembly. Now, the demonstrators were carrying plastic cards and chanting a slogan supporting Wetangula, condemned Azimio member of parliament pushing for the removal over alleged biased parliamentary proceedings. You can also grab a copy and read that story, and there is also a picture there. You can see more. And also we see tribunal finds lawyer guilty of illicit withholding of clients' money. Now that story is in page 3 of the People Daily newspaper, story by Caroline Kubwa. Now an advocate attached to an international criminal court, that is Thomas Gichana Maosa, has been found guilty of gross professional misconduct by a legal tribunal for withholding 62.9 million from an elderly client. Now the tribunal has ordered Gichana, who is also the founding dean of law at Kisii University, to refund the amount and pay additional cost after failing to account for the funds received on behalf of the complainant. That's also a story I believe it's of more importance, and that also shows that the judiciary is taking its roles and mandates and doing what they ought to do. You can also check that and read more comprehensively on the same page 3. For Ijendi family, tragedy knocked twice. That is a story by Dennis Lumiti. As the sad news of Malava MP's death broke, his family was still coming to terms with the sudden passing of his elder brother a day earlier. Now, when Malava MP died, his elder brother died earlier. That is a day before his death, and that's a tragedy. We are saying sorry for the family, and we believe that the Lord will comfort them. And we are also sorry for the loss that the August House has actually faced, and that has befell the August House. And at the same time, we also remember the loss of Baringo Senator, and also we say Pole Sana to the Senate House. Continuing with this story on page 3, giving you just a brief of what we have here, is that the Ijende family in Malava constituency, Kakamega County, is in turmoil after they lost 2 of their gallant sons a day apart. Now, when Malava MP Moses Malulu Ijendi fell ill some weeks ago, one of his constant visitor and caregiver at the Aga Khan University Hospital in Nairobi was Samuel Ijendi, his elder brother and most trusted. You see that from the story we find that while back at home in Malava last week, Samuel, a retired prison officer, also fell sick and was rushed to Kakamega County Referral Hospital, where he succumbed on Sunday. And on Monday, we also see that Malava MP Malulu also passed on. We are very sorry for the family, and we hope they find solace in the Lord. That's a story in page 3 of the People Daily newspaper. Please grab a copy and read more comprehensively of that story. Now, moving on to page 4, where we see new SHA reforms as state response to public outcry. Now, the new MTI will rely more on data triangulation from the other existing data bases on databases in the government agencies. Story by George Kibaso. Now, Kenyans with irregular sources of incomes could soon be allowed to take loans from the hustler funds to pay for their social insurance health fund, that is SHIF, under the new proposed changes by the government. The insurance premium financing IPD under the hustlers fund will mainly target individuals with in the informal sector. There is a lot of that story as we see that there's a lot of reforms that is coming in SHA. You can grab a copy and read the story and there. And also we see activists wants appeal courts to uphold ruling on SHIF rollout. A story by Caroline Kubwa, still on health matters and health insurance services. And we see there an activist who filed a case challenging the rollout of social health insurance fund SHIF and its universal health care program has urged the Court of Appeal to uphold a decision that declared the new health laws unconstitutional. And this is Joseph Enoch Aura, through lawyer Harrison Kinyanjui, submitted that no Kenyan should be forced to register for SHA in the case where the state has appealed a High Court judgment which declared Social Health Insurance Act 2023 and the Digital Health Act and Primary Health Care Act were unconstitutional, null and void. You can also see that story, which is in page 4 of the People Daily newspaper, and read more comprehensively. The story is by Caroline Kubwa. Remember, you can grab a copy and read. We are moving with speed to page 5, where we see Judiciary top judge demand zero tolerance on corruption. A story by Ruben Mwambingu. Chief Justice calls on citizens to report any incident of graft without an iota of fear. That is, Chief Justice Martha Koome has urged Kenyans to hold powers that be accounted to hold powers that be to account by upholding zero tolerance to corruption. Koome asked Kenyans to report any incident of corruption without fear, noting that dismantling the corrupt network requires a holistic approach with cooperation of members of the public and the media playing a vital role. That story is in page 5 of the People Daily newspaper. You can grab and read. And also we have on the same page Uhuru mourns German leader, that's called her. Now, former Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta delivered a heartfelt eulogy to the state funeral service of the late German President Horst Kohler, held at Berlin Cathedral. In his speech, Kenyatta paid tribute to Kohler, remarkable leadership, dedication to global affairs, and unwavering commitment to Africa's development. You can also grab a copy. Sorry for that. You can grab a copy and read more comprehensively. We move to page 6 of the People Daily newspaper. We see looming row as Treasury cut down allocation for the counties. Now, this is a story that I believe is of much impact in the county government. Remember, previously, or in the past 1 year, there's been a tension between the National Assembly, that is the August House, and the Senate. There's been a division whereby the National Assembly had proposed that the allocation to the counties be cut, while the Senate had maintained their position that the allocations that were being taken to the county, given to the county, should not be cut. Now we see the Treasury cut down allocation for the counties, and the story is by Rollins Otieno. Now, Treasury expenditure proposal for the next financial year fell short for the 47 devolved units. Now, in brief, this is what we have in the story. A clash is looming in Senate after the National Treasury proposed to allocate 2.4 trillion to the national government and 405.1 billion for the devolved units under the Division of Revenue Bill 2025. And we also see that the objective of the bill is to provide for the equitable division of revenue raised by the national government between the central and the county government in order to facilitate the proper functioning of the government and to ensure continuity of service delivery. Now, if you read that story keenly, you'll also find that apart from the 405.1 billion equitable share, National Treasury Secretary John Mbadi is proposing another 10.6 billion for equalization fund, which includes 7.9 billion as 0.5% of the last audited and approved actual revenue. And there is more in that story. Please grab a copy of the People Daily newspaper and read more comprehensively of that story. Now, as we continue to on the same page, now we see MCA's questions validity of declared city revenue, a story by Alvin Mwangi. And now we see here Governor Johnson Sakaja on a hot seat and on spot to answer questions. Now, Nairobi County ward representatives have raised concern over revenue declared by Governor Johnson Sakaja following the revelations that external auditors have been denied access to review the system for the last 2 years. You can grab a copy and read much of that story more comprehensively. It is in page 6 of the People Daily newspaper. Now, on page 7, now we see former Vice President, that is the Wiper Party leader, Kalonzo Musyoka, now blast Kitui Assembly Speaker for alleged cause of division in the county. Now we see that story by Paul Mutua. Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka has reprimanded Kitui County Assembly Speaker Kevin Kinengo for allegedly causing unnecessary divisions in the House through gross bias. Now, Kalonzo told Kinengo to his face to discard alleged selfish activism and greed for the smooth running of the assembly and enabling harmonious progress of the county affairs. You can also check that and read more of that story. And the much story that has been there for a long time. On the same page, we say request to free Cohen widow declined over witness safety, a story by Alphonse Mungao. Now, court concurred with DPP's concern about potential interference with the witness and the integrity of the trial. Now, in brief, the High Court yesterday declined to release murder suspect Sarah Wairimu on bond in a bid to protect two key protected witnesses scheduled to testify in the trial. Now, as such, Wairimu, who is facing charge of murder of her Dutch husband, Tob Cohen, in July 2019, will remain in custody until the two witnesses have testified. Now, that was the ruling of the High Court yesterday on the issue of death related to the death of Cohen, Tob Cohen. You can check on that story on page 7 of the People Daily newspaper. Now, as we move on, we also see bill proposes National Transport Safety Authority to take all transport accidents. You can also see that story from People Daily. Now, The National Transport and Safety Authority could soon take charge of all transport-related accidents in the country if the bill sails through the National Assembly. Now, a bill sponsored by Limuru MP John Kiragu wants to consolidate all transport-related accidents in road, rail, pipeline, and air. You can also check that story and read more comprehensively. Now we move to page 8, where we see residents and water farm wrangle over hefty tariffs, a story by Matthew Ndungu. Now Muranga residents and water farm are at loggerheads over tariffs. Now the wrangles between the residents and Muranga South Water and Sanitation Company, Muwasco, recently escalated, and locals vandalized infrastructures belonging to the company. Now we see from the story, residents of Muranga South, including Kigumo, Kandara, and Maragua, said taps had run dry in their homes and other institutions such as schools and hospital, causing a major crisis. Now, because of this, we have seen the governor, the Muranga governor, that is Irungu Kangata, wrote to the Water Service Board, Regulatory Board, seeking to have water rates lowered from 107 shillings to 88 shillings per cubic meter in bid to quell the duel, that is the chaos that has erupted in Muranga. You can grab a copy of the People Daily newspaper and read more comprehensively. Now on the same page we see police oppose bill seeking to regulate demos and gatherings. Now civil society groups and police watchdog bodies describe proposed bill as draconian and threat to democratic gain made, a story by Mercy Mwai. Now this bill was sponsored by Mbere North Member of Parliament, that is Geoffrey Ruku. Now we see the bill has faced a lot of opposition from the police and also the members of the public, as well as the civil groups. And we see the national, in brief, the story by Mercy Mwai is that the National Police Service, NPS, and the several human rights lobby groups have called for the immediate withdrawal of the Assembly and Demonstration Bill 2024, which they term as retrogressive and unconstitutional. You can grab a copy and read more of that story. Now that story on the bill, the proposed bill, is what brings us to the first break, and after the break we are going to be back to give you more of what is in the People Daily newspaper. Remember to keep tuned to BTV. Remember to keep tuned to the Vibrant Morning, as we'll give you the brief of what is in the People Daily newspaper. We take a short break. We'll be right back.
Vibrant Morning with BTV. Utamu na urembo wa maisha hubainishwa na kumbukumbu za kipekee zinazowafanya wapendwa wetu kupendezwa na urembo huo. Blackman Digitech Studio sasa ndiyo studio pekee inayoweza kukupea kumbukumbu kama hizi. Tunatoa huduma kama vile birthday shoots, graduation shoots, baby shower shoots, banner designing and printing, indoor and outdoor photoshoot, roll-up banners, t-shirt branding and printing, imported polo t-shirts branding, videography, school ID printing, live streaming, TV adverts and voice overs, 3D streetlight banners, rubber stamp. Pia tunatoa mafunzo ya ICT classes, videography classes, cyber services na mengine mengi. Ili kujua mengi zaidi, tutembelee katika afisi zetu zinazopatikana Onyinjo karibu na Tiendege bodaboda stage, au tupigie simu kwa nambari 0721379308. Blackman Digitech Studios, the quality you can trust.
This is BTV Kenya, your home live TV.
Vibrant Morning with BTV.
Utamu na urembo wa maisha hubainishwa na kumbukumbu za kipekee zinazowafanya wapendwa wetu kupendezwa na urembo huo. Blackman Digitech Studios sasa ndiyo studio pekee inayoweza kukupea kumbukumbu kama hizi. Tunatoa huduma kama vile birthday shoots, graduation shoots, baby shower shoots, banner designing and printing, indoor and outdoor photoshoot, roll-up banners, t-shirt branding and printing, imported polo t-shirts branding, videography, school ID printing, live streaming, TV adverts and voice overs, 3D streetlight banners, rubber stamp. Pia tunatoa mafunzo ya ICT classes, videography classes, cyber services na mengine mengi. Ili kujua mengi zaidi, tutembelee katika afisi zetu zinazopatikana Onyinjo karibu na Tiendege bodaboda stage, au tupigie simu kwa nambari 0721379308. Blackman Digitech Studios, the quality you can trust.
Welcome back. We are back and we welcome you back. Now, we move to page 13 of the People Daily newspaper, where we are also seeing a story here whereby suspect in Muchai's murder accuses police of torture. Now, a robbery with violence defendant claims he was framed by the police who compelled him to confess. Now, that story by Alphonse Mungao. It says a robbery with violence accused person in the murder of former Kabete MP George Muchai has defended himself, saying he was wrongly accused by police who tortured and forced him to sign the statement. Now, he also added, saying while defending himself before the Milimani Chief Magistrate Lucas Onyina, Mustafa Kimani told the court that he was wrongly arrested and charged with robbery and violence, and much more of that is in the People Daily newspaper. Please, on page 13, grab a copy and read much more comprehensively of that story. And also we see another story there where a Chesa firearms case put on hold awaiting appeals court ruling. Story by Alphonse Mungao, that the hearing of the 39 billion firearms fraud case against former Sports Cabinet Secretary Rashid Echesa and 4 other accused persons has been delayed, awaiting a court of appeal decision. You can also grab a copy and read that story. And also on the same page, you see drama as athlete's widow faints in court. A story by Winston Cheseremi. Now, widow of 2004 Vienna Marathon winner Samson Kandie, who is among 3 people charged with his brutal murder, fainted in the dock at Eldoret High Court after she was denied bail. You can also grab a copy and read of much of that story. Still on matters of court, now we see police officers arrested in separate robbery incidents. Now, in what paints a distressing picture, a senior law enforcer are getting involved in series of criminal activities. Now, the story is by Zadok Angira. Now, 3 police officers have been arrested in connection with two separate robbery incidents. In Nairobi, two General Service Unit GSU off-duty officers and a member of public were on Monday night arrested in a botched robbery in Githurai Kasarani sub-county. Constables Frederick Githinji Waithera and Edward Chege Mwangi, both GSU of officers, and Calvin Chomba were arrested by undercover officers from Githurai police post who were on night patrol. You can also grab that. Indeed, that is not really painting a good pictures, as it is bringing a lot of fear to the common mwananchi. Now on the same page 14, we see state allocates funds livestock restocking in bandit prone areas. A story by Wycliffe Kipsang. The government has allocated 1 billion for livestock restocking program to assist pastoralists in areas worst hit by banditry. The funds will also cater for pastoralists who lost their livestock as a result of drought ravaging many parts of the country. You can also check more and read more of such stories. And we move on to Machakos, where Machakos go cashless in revenue allocation. Story by Gaston Valusi. Now, Machakos County government has become the latest devolved unit to abandon manual revenue collection and management in a move aimed at improving efficiency in overall revenue management. Now, if you live in Machakos, now you need to pay your revenue digitally. They'll be collecting revenue digitally rather than going manual to collect revenue. Now, we move to other pages, where we move to page 16, navigating a greenhouse gas levy on global shipping in climate action deal. Now, the United Nations marine body meets in London. There are calls to impose carbon charge for each ton of emission the industry produces. Story by Alberto Leni. You can also get there and read. Now we move with speed. We are going to move with speed to Business Hub, where we see Treasury cuts revenue projection to 3.1 trillion. Now the revision of 2024-2025 targets downward comes against the background of economic difficulties affecting businesses and households. A story by Noel Wandera. Now, the government has revised its revenue projection for the financial year 2024-2025, lowering the ordinary revenue target to 2.58 trillion, with a total revenue including appropriation in aid now projected to 3.1 trillion Kenyan shillings. You can also read that on matters of treasury and business matters. I believe that is very important. Now moving on to page 26, we see trends shaping the future of African cinema. Now that's on matters of technology. Now trends shaping the future of African cinema. Now all that we see in this story, where African film audiences can look forward to rapid transformation of their favorite medium this year, as movie making evolves into digitally enabled and socially engaged art from, while remaining as entertaining as ever. You can also read that story on matters of entertainment. It is great. And also we see on page 27, where we see the Treasury puts counties on the spot overspending. Treasury puts counties on spot over spending. Now, Mombasa, Nairobi, Kisii, Kisumu, and Taita Taveta topped list of counties least regard for development projects. A story by Victor Mukabi. Now, National Treasury has put the county government on the spot over extravagant spending on recurrent expenditure, ignoring development activities during the financial year 2023-2024. Now, counties of Nairobi, Kisii, Mombasa, Kisumu, and Taita Taveta topped the list of counties that are least concerned with positively impacting their residents with development project, despite a 30% provision on each allocation by the national government. You can also check that and read much of that story. And also good news, Nairobi hosts a major investment and entrepreneurship summit. That's also story on page 19. Now, over 1,500 global leaders, investors, and entrepreneurs are set to converge in Nairobi at the end of the month for a summit expected to help drive investment, innovations, and scaling Africans startups. You can also check on that story. That's a good news. Now we move on to page 28. Kenya's radical funding shift to modernize aging power grids. Now, Parliamentary Budget Office mulls measures to accelerate electrification, moving away from reliance on exchequer allocations and donor funding. Story by Noel Wandera. You can also see that. Now, firms mull AI to solve blackouts. You can also see that. We just have a story where KBL seeks commercial barley farmers ahead of planting season. You can also check on that. And also still on Business Hub, China embraces even Jack Ma, but will it be enough? Now we go with a story in brief. Story from Hong Kong. In a strategic shift, see China leaders engages with private sector moguls in attempt to bolster economic confidence and innovations. You can also read that and much and more and more. CGIAR unveils a scaling hub in Nairobi. Story by Milia Murigi. Now Kenya has inaugurated a regional scaling hub in Nairobi targeting innovations in food, land, and water sectors in the region. I think that's a great news. You can also grab there. And we have on page 30, where we say BAT dismisses tax evasion and farmer exploitation claims. Now we gave you a story whereby there was some misunderstanding and misappropriation and overuse and much more of corruption in BAT. Now we see BAT is coming out to dismiss tax evasion and farmer exploitation claims. Now BAT refutes claims of financial discrepancies and unethical practices, insist it complies with all regulatory rules. A story by Victor Mukabi. Please grab a copy and read. On world news, UN calls for calm as violence flare in South Sudan. A story from Juba. Fighting reportedly broke out in Nasir in Upper Nile State on February 14th and 15th. United Nations now say. Now, the United Nations has called for calm as it reports deadly clashes in South Sudan have killed civilians and wounded peacekeepers. Very sad. In Africa, we are prone to war. We pray that this is going to calm down soon. You can also check that and much more of that story. M23, that's on page 32. M23 rebels, tightens grip on second major Congolese city. Now, Rwanda-backed M23 fighters pledge to restore security in Bukavu as an escalation is fighting fears of all-out regional war. That's a story from Goma. You can also check that and read more comprehensively. And also we see on the same page, French officials visit disputed Western Sahara territory. You can also check that and read much more of that story. From Sahrawi on Tuesday, French Culture Minister Richard Dati visited the disputed Western Sahara on Monday during a trip to Morocco to strengthen cultural ties with North African nation. You can also check that and read much of that story. And also we see Europeans scramble for response on Ukraine crisis. That's also a story from Paris. You can grab a copy and read much and more of that story. Now moving on to sports on page 35. Gatimu's first lane to victory. Now navigating by her mother Caroline, young speedster Tanasha is banking on family support skill to make history ahead of March WRC Safari Rally Challenge in Vasha. We hope everything is going to be on their way. You can also read that. And also Lakeside Edge moistures in heated derby. You can also check that story on Lakeside basketball team bounced back from a narrow 73-74 defeat to shoot for life in Eldoret, while crucial 71-67 victory over top-ranked Mosecha in tightly contested derby at their Kisumu backyard. You can also check those matters of sports. And also we see Starlet 6 Tunisia takedown. And here we see, with the lesson learned from the heartbreaking Botswana outing, Kenya's finest girls team ready to turn the tides in their latest qualification bid. We always trusted the Harambee Starlets, and we believe as they take on Tunisia, we believe they are going to do better and they are going to win to see them qualify. And we move on. Still we have on some other stories is where we see JW Foundation FC ready to take on big leagues. Now JW Foundation FC head coach Hamisi Mohamed, popularly known as Coach Kaka, is exuding confidence ahead of his team's historic debut in the 2025 FKF Mozartbet Cup in the weekend. You can also check that. The story is very, very good and quite inspiring. We move to page 37. Reviving a legacy in Murichu Dam X County. That's also a story where youngsters set up pace in Murichu Cross County debut. Story by David Mesharia. Please grab a copy and read much of that story. NBA Africa Safaricom team up to empower next generation of athletes. That story is also on page 37. Story by Faith Masharia. M-Pesa and M-Pesa J Junior NBA program landmark collaboration between NBA Africa and Safaricom has launched in Kenya with a goal to impact the lives of some of 10,000 boys and girls in Nairobi, Mombasa, Eldoret, and as well as Kisumu. The youth development initiative, which combines basketball training with financial literacy, is set to be the largest of its kind in East Africa. Good move for by M-Pesa. And we move on to page 38. Why fans should not panic about Virgil van Dijk Barcelona link. Now, reference by the Dutch midfielder to stay at Anfield remains unchanged despite linked to Catalan club. Reds transfer expert David Lynch has revealed. Now, Virgil will remain in Liverpool despite being alleged that he's going to move out of Anfield. That should be checked and things are going to be okay, we hope. Anthony is back to his best at Real Betis. 3 goals, an assist, and much more in the 4. Now we see when Real Betis confirmed a loan signing Anthony from Manchester United during the January transfer window, there was a buzz and there was excitement in the green and white half Sevilla. Now the Manchester Pellegrini knew it, and Real Betis fans did too, that Anthony had the potential to take Los Vedlaban course to the next level. You can also check that. We see he's now doing better than when he was in Manchester United. We really don't know what's happening with the Manchester United. You keep losing, selling players, and after selling them, they do better than expected. And also we see citizens seek revenge in Spain, Spanish capital. And tonight we see, while Real Madrid have progressed from 37 out of 39, European knockout ties when prevailed in first leg City are yet to make a leaf out of their host's famous comeback book. We really hope things are going to change, and we hope City is going to beat Real Madrid. But will that really happen? Now in the lineup today, in the today's Champions League fixture, we have 8:45 p.m. Dortmund will be taking on Sporting Lisbon, and at 11 p.m. we have PSG taking on Brest, PSV taking on Juventus, Real Madrid taking on Man City. Please don't miss the matches. Now we back to page 10 as we take on the quote of the day. Page 10, let us move to page 10. Quote of the day, one from Baringo North MP, and that is Joseph Makilap. Our people have been reduced to paupers after all their livestock, which was their major source of livelihood, were driven away by armed bandits. That is there, you can also check there. But we also seen there's a good news as the government has allocated funds to help out on that. And also we see a quote from IPOA Chief Executive Elema Halek say the proposed provisions threatens to infringe upon the very essence of public participation and civil engagement by subjecting it to excessive state control. Now he was reacting to the story about the proposed laws that are going to be enforced if they see the light of the day. That's in regards to the ticketing and assembly of the people in the public as they riot. And also we see one from KNHCR member, that is Marion Mutugi. If rogue individuals with bad intentions use protest as an opportunity to damage property, loot businesses, and cause chaos, it is the responsibility of the police to maintain law and order. That's also a quote of the day. And also we see here now cartoon of the day. Thank you so much, producer, for putting it on the screen. We see Moses Wetangula under siege, and this thing is called crunch. Is in the middle of this crunch. Impeachment. What is Moses Wetangula going to do? We hope president is going to react to the call of Bungoma residents who marched out yesterday calling for his protection. Now let me take on the thought of the day. The highest popularity and patriotism are still the beaten road to power and tyranny. That's the thought of the day. Please think of it. Let us know your reactions. My dear viewers, we have to say thank you so much for keeping tuned to BTV. Thank you so much for keeping tuned to the Vibrant Morning. People Daily, thoughts of the day, and cartoon of the day, and quotes of the day brings us to the end of the Vibrant Morning. We are very much grateful for you keeping tuned to BTV and for your support of viewership. Remember, BTV is the place to be. BTV, your home live TV, brings you all that you need to understand to get into the People Daily newspaper, and we believe we bring you all this comprehensively. Thank you so much. Keep watching BTV. Hope to see you late in the day. We are going to have an interview here with a youth leader in Migori and a political activist. Please keep tuned to BTV. Thank you so much. I'm your host, Gagis Haya. Have a lovely day.
Vibrant Morning with BTV.
Utamu na urembo wa maisha hubainishwa na kumbukumbu za kipekee zinazowafanya wapendwa wetu kupendezwa na urembo huo. Blackman Digitech Studios sasa ndiyo studio pekee inayoweza kukupea kumbukumbu kama hizi. Tunatoa huduma kama vile birthday shoots, graduation shoots, baby shower shoots, banner designing and printing, indoor and outdoor photoshoot, roll-up banners, t-shirt branding and printing, imported polo t-shirts branding, videography, school ID printing, live streaming, TV adverts and voiceovers, 3D streetlight banners, rubber stamp. Pia tunatoa mafunzo ya ICT classes, videography classes, cyber services na mengine mengi. Ili kujua mengi zaidi, tutembelee katika afisi zetu zinazopatikana Onyinjo karibu na Tiendege bodaboda stage, au tupigie simu kwa nambari 0721379308. Blackman Digitech Studios, the quality you can trust.
This is BTV Kenya, your home live TV.